Awakened Path Radio, giving you the tools to guide you on your spiritual or metaphysical journey. I'm your host, Dr. Candace Navy Green.
Welcome to Inspirational Monday here at Awakened Path Radio. As always, you can visit us at www.awakenedpathonline.com to keep updated on our shows and everything else that's going on here at Awakened Path Radio. That website again is www.awakenedpathonline.com. Today, our guest is Jeff Jones. He has expanded the context of addiction to families as a focus of skill building and practice in an online community that develops social capital and expands potential solutions. At the core of the community is a 3-phase program that empowers families to safeguard their loved one in an addictive cycle of recovery, while they engage in a process to stop the addiction cycle in this generation. It is learning the 3 phases and integrating them into interactions which increases resiliency and allows for addiction in the family to be an opportunity for transformation for the whole family. Jeff Jones, it is a pleasure to have you on Awakened Path Radio today.
Wow. Well, thank you very much for having me, Candace. I appreciate it.
So tell us, we gave you this wonderful introduction. So tell us what led you to your current work.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I feel like I've been on this path all of my life, quite frankly, because I'm doing what I'm doing because addiction is in my own family. And I experienced its trickle down from my grandfather to my mother to me. And then when I became a professional, I saw how the focus was on the person with the addiction. A lot of the services are for that person, and families are more of an afterthought. And so I have spent a number of years focusing on how can families be more a part of the solution than pushed off to the side in the bystander role and, be negatively labeled and et cetera.
Now tell us a little bit about what entails the 3-phase program.
Yeah, well, the 3-phase program is something that I came up with several years ago, and just within the last couple months, what I did is create 6 online family groups for the family caregiver that kind of leads to the whole family healing 3-phase program. But the 3 phases are recognize, and then resource, and then realize. And the idea behind that is to have a space where families can heal together. Kind of the way this has been done historically is, the one with the addiction goes one way to one group, and the family, they have the choice to go to some self-help groups. Often it's like Al-Anon for the family and AA for the individual with addiction. There's other groups, of course, and there's other methods, but and Al-Anon is essentially for one person in the family, generally the caregiver. So, just because of my own experience with my own family and living with defensive coping mechanisms for like 40 some years, and doing my own work to, learn new skills that really led to my own transformation. I kind of thought, like, why not have a online thing that families could engage in. They could look at themselves, get a lot of information, get on the same page, and have the opportunity to have ongoing facilitated meetings for everyone in the family, regardless of where they lived, as long as they have internet connection.
That's the beauty of online. You reach so many more people.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's a different model, and it's a complement to just about everything that I see out there. And I know in the treatment center world, a lot of treatment centers will have family programs, and that family program could consist of anything from a group a month or a couple groups a month to a week-long family program. But the reality is, after that, how do they integrate what they learned to be able to change what they're doing? And so I think that's a very, very important part of it, is to have a space for family members to practice skills that they learn, assuming that they've learned them, in a family program or something like that.
Now, what is the inspiration behind this 3-phase program, using it as part of what you've already done?
Yeah, well, the 3-phase program is the first thing that I came up with, and that was probably 3 or 4 years ago. So I have done intervention, and I do the kind of intervention that is like ongoing family meetings. It's invitational, and the meetings continue for like 6 months or so. So there's a contract, and really the 3-phase program, the vast majority of families who have taken advantage of this are families that I've worked with in intervention, and it seamlessly flows into this 3-phase program. And generally families don't see where they have a problem, and historically, it's like families have been negatively labeled, like they're just enabling, they're part of the problem, or actually they are the problem.
Right, or they're dysfunctional, right?
Oh my God, yeah, just dysfunctional, they're codependent, they're this, they're that. It's like, how many people are gonna raise their hand and say, oh yeah, that's what I want. I want to, fix my enabling. And of course, when we define those behaviors, there's a lot of that going on. But that labeling repels family members. It doesn't really invite them into a process.
Right. Now, do you see any challenges do you see any challenges in long-term healing? And if you do, why are these challenges so prevalent?
There are many challenges in long-term healing. And I mean, part of it is like historically the way we have seen addiction, the way we think about addiction, and so much of the history and residual about addiction. And of course, there's like, public policy and the way things play out there. And, as with everything, money is a very big part of this. So there's huge amount of obstacles. And really what I'm trying to do is to create a pathway to provide opportunities to look at addiction differently and become more a part of the solution. And I actually see addiction in the family as an opportunity for everybody's transformation, not just one person.
Right. And the energy that is associated with the word addiction sometimes it can be heavy. So that could also probably be a repellent to some people who want to experience healing. That, I mean, this society puts such a negative spin on the word addiction, and that probably could hinder some people from getting the healing and the help that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in 1987 or the mid 80s, addiction, the definition went to a chronic relapsing brain disease.
Mm.
And there were some good things that came out of that, but there were also things that eliminated a larger picture of what addiction is. Because to just know that addiction, it's a brain disease. Like if I'm the one with the addiction and you're my family, it's going to be real easy for you to look at me and go, "Yo, dude, just get your brain healed." We, the family, were fine, kind of thing. And I look at addiction more as like addiction disruption. Sure, there's one person at the epicenter of that disruption, and absolutely the brain is impaired. But there's so much more going on. Every like these relationships in the family, they're all impacted and stressed. The continuum from stress to trauma kind of thing. And then what are the coping mechanisms and the resiliency that individuals in the family have within themselves to deal with that impact?
Right. Now, I know it must be terribly hard sometimes and so challenging to work with families, especially when they may not be cooperative. But what keeps you going? What keeps you inspired and willing to continue to work with families?
Wow, Candace, I love that question because that is the truth for me. I just got back from a 4-day addiction conference, the annual addiction conference in Colorado, and about 1,000 people down there. And I was one of the speakers, and I was one of 4 days of 3 or 4 speakers all the time kind of thing. There were 2 programs down there that had the word family in them. So what motivates me and keeps me going is that I know this is a problem. Everybody knows this is a problem. No one has really figured out how to integrate the healing into treatment for the individual. And I think largely it's because of money. It's hard to figure out how to get paid for this. And I that's not something I just read in a book. I know it's hard because I'm experiencing that. And what drives me is, I'm, I guess, an out of the box thinker kind of thing. I know this is important. And I'm, looking for partners and people who also know this is important to collaborate with, to grow with. So I know that addiction is changing, actually, even with professionals. Like there was a program that I just saw with a gentleman, Robert Weiss, and he just wrote a book called Pro-Dependence, which is, he's really questioning. The book is for addiction professionals and therapists, and he's really like acknowledging some of the damage that word has done. And there's a lot of professionals that use that word. And there's, Candace, there's a ton of good information there, but there's assumptions, and like codependence is not in, the DSM-5. It is not pathologized.
Mm-hmm.
It's like under this is love and heartstrings, and and people are stressed out, and it's like people are caught up in circumstances beyond their ability to healthfully cope, and so their helping demonstrates nothing more than a normal and healthy attempt to remain connected to a failing loved one while facing extraordinarily difficult circumstances. So that's kind of how I view family members, as opposed to, oh, you're just enabling, you're just a codependent, like you really need to work on yourself kind of thing. Especially at the first stage, it's so unhelpful to hear like you're the enabler, you just need to work on yourself. That's like, hey, these people have huge problems, they're trying to save their loved one,
Right.
and even if they're not going about it in quote unquote the best way, they're going about it in the way they're going about it. And so yeah, I'm just raving and raving.
But you're doing great work, Jeff. You're doing great work. So if anyone listening right now would like to reach out and get in touch with you, how might they do that?
Yeah. So my website is www.thefamilyrecoverysolution.com. And right now I am putting a lot of energy into that website to make it 3 different levels, like a free level that addresses people who are in like the worry stage, the concern stage, the crisis stage, the intervene stage, the change stage, the integrate stage, all leading to whole family healing. So I've put quite a bit of energy into the website. So there's a free level, a group level, and a coaching level.
Very nice.
Yeah, and people can make an appointment of my time, connect on the phone as well, and that schedule is on the website.
So what's next? Do you have anything coming up? Any workshops, any other talks or things you're planning on doing in the near future?
Yeah, I don't have any more talks. The majority of stuff I do is online, but really where I'm headed is I made some connections at this 4-day conference with some treatment centers that I want to follow up with, and I want to partner with them and really collaborate through a process to where I can really support the treatment process in a esteemed treatment center. So that's the direction I'm going, and I am always open to like speaking and radio interviews like yourself. Thank you very much for
welcome. Our pleasure.
checking me out. Yeah, Candace, the other thing I want to say before we end is I really see addiction in the family as potential for transformation, spiritual transformation for every individual in the family. And so that's my long-term vision.
It's a very good vision. And what's your website one more time for our listeners?
Yeah, www.thefamilyrecoverysolution.com.
Well, Jeff, it was such a pleasure having you on the Awakened Path Radio today for our Inspirational Monday. And I would just like to encourage you to keep doing the work that you're doing. You're helping so many people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Awakened Path Radio. Please check us out at www.awakenedpathonline.com. your host, Dr. Candace Nadine Green, and you are listening to Awakened Path Radio, giving you tools to guide you on your spiritual or metaphysical journey. Namaste and blessed day.